All right, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's August 4th. Welcome to the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. I'm Aaron Mays. I represent District 3. On my left is Commissioner Bill Rippon. He represents District 1. On my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, representing District 2. Good morning to both of you. County Councilor Rich Eckert is at my far right, and our far left is our County Clerk, Lisa Schmidt. Good morning to both of you as well.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Let's dive in. First item, please.
All right, first item is item 3, consent agenda.
We've got several items on the consent agenda. If there's no questions or concerns, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Mays and a second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business, A, County Clerk. 1, consider all voucher payments.
Our total vouchers for this period is $3,768,269.45. There's no significant payments to note. So with that, if there's no questions or comments, I would move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Or not the consent agenda, I'm sorry, the voucher.
Voucher payments. Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Rippon, a second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
B, Bond Council. 1, public notice. Consider approval of resolution number 2025-59, expressing the intent of the board to issue Shawnee County, Kansas taxable industrial revenue bonds, Westridge Renovation Project Phase 1, in the estimated aggregate principal amount of $48 million, and enter into a lease purchase agreement with Dream Big Partners, LLC.
Good morning, Bob Perry. Before you guys can just consider this resolution, we'll have to have a public hearing regarding this, so we'll need to open it for a public hearing and close it. It's my understanding from talking with Seth Wagner that this is the first phase of a couple of phases that the owners of the Westridge Mall, or a portion of it, are going to start the renovation project. This first phase will basically effectuate improvements to closing off a portion to be used by Advisors Excel, consolidating, is my understanding, the retail shops to the first floor, then HVAC, electrical, plumbing, some infrastructure improvements. You're only expressing your intent to issue the bonds. The cost-benefit analysis for the project is yet to be prepared. They're gathering the information. They'll get that filed. Once it's filed, we'll have another notice and hearing no less than 7 days before you consider the passage of approval of a bond resolution. It's also my understanding that there'll be a different applicant for another phase of this project. The purpose of that applicant is to improve a portion of the Westridge Mall that will be principally used by Advisors Excels for their offices. That's correct? Is that it? With that, I suggest we just have the public hearing.
Any questions for Bob?
Here on behalf of
Mr.
the
Chairman.
applicant.
Yeah, Commissioner Cook.
Bob, I know that we've, in Shawnee County, we've worked with industrial revenue bonds and projects like this a number of times. And so those of us that are here working on these regularly, this is not unfamiliar. But for many people, I don't know if maybe the media, just the way they reported it, but even this last weekend, I was at my barber shop and I got questioned, grilled might be a better word, of why am I giving away $48 million and what am I doing? So I thought maybe this would be a good opportunity for us to maybe take a moment to explain to the public what is really happening here and how does this impact Shawnee County citizens?
Well, it doesn't impact the citizens as far as assessed values or tax income. When the statute was written in the early 60s, late 50s, the purpose of it really was to bring in the automotive plant in the Fairfax District of Wyandotte County, and they needed a mechanism to allow GM to have a financing. And that's what was the beginning. But in essence, Industrial revenue bonds are special limited obligations not payable by any municipality, county, or city that issues the bonds. They're a debt only and solely of the occupant of the facility. And the statutory provisions within the IRB statutes, the industrial revenue bond statutes, it prohibits the payment of industrial revenue bonds and costs associated with the facility from general tax levies of the county or the city, or special tax levies from the county or the cities. And believe me, over the last decades, I've been asked, is there a way to get around it? Yeah, I can think of it, but it's not really in the intent of the statute, and it doesn't, and it won't constitute a tax at
Okay.
all.
So industrial revenue bonds are not a tax. The county is not obligated for them. It's just a mechanism for funding for projects.
It's not only is the county or the city not obligated for them, they're prohibited from levying a tax for them. You do not have the authority to levy a tax to pay an industrial revenue bond.
Okay. Now, I think one of the things that people were also asking about is, well, don't they get a tax break so they don't have to pay taxes for 10 years?
That depends upon the nature of the improvement, the use of the facility, and the local entity which is issuing the bonds on behalf of the user. Johnson County municipalities have different policies and procedures depending upon the nature of the project as to whether or not the ad valorem exemption is consented to, either 100% for a set number of years, 100% for 10 years. But it's not up to the local municipality to determine whether or not it's granted. The grant of the ad valorem tax exemption comes from the Board of Tax Appeals. An application has to be filed with the Board of Tax Appeals. Supporting documentation has to be provided to the Board of Tax Appeals, the minimum of which includes notice of hearing, the conducting of a hearing, the cost-benefit analysis to support the economic viability of the project and its impact on the state of Kansas, as well as whatever municipality is issuing it.
Now, when Mars was built, there was industrial revenue bonds that were used for Mars, but didn't they have to show how many jobs they were creating?
Yes, but my memory is Mars was constructed under the constitutional provision that allows for ad valorem exemptions for 10 years for manufacturing articles of interstate commerce, research and development. What's the third one, Lucky?
And that is correct. It was an EDX.
Yes. There's three provisions, and it's manufacturing articles in commerce, research and development. And Rich, you remember the third one? Because I don't.
Okay.
Under our Constitution.
Manufacturing, R&D, and warehousing distribution.
Warehousing distribution.
Scientific, I think, is in there.
Yeah.
All right.
So those are the three. And those aren't IRBs. And the county has its own policies, which is required by the EDX statutes, which has a whole different provision for the ad valorem exemption. And IRBs, you're consenting to allowing the county appraiser to not object in front of the Board of Tax Appeals for the exemption. I've had two projects in the last several decades where the county, or in this case it was a city, did not want the appraiser to consent. They still got the exemption from the Board of Tax Appeals.
Okay.
Oftentimes, there is a sales tax exemption for construction materials with IRBs too.
Correct. And that's also available through a different avenue under the EDX statute.
And today is just the notice that at some point they might want to issue bonds.
Yeah, this is your intent to issue the bonds once certain other statutory provisions have to be prepared. The policies of this county in particular is not to take existing ad valorem taxes off the tax rolls. So there's usually a payment in lieu of tax, an amount that's no less than what the last tax, general tax, would have been. In this case, let's assume that they've issued the bonds in 2025. The ad valorem exemption would be applied to the Board of Tax Appeals. That would be running then from 2036 to 2035, should the BOTA grant the exemption. But mind you, under 79 KS, the statutes, let me just be general, those retail operations which fall within the North American Classification Industrial Codes or system, which are numbers 44 and 45, which are most of the things that go on inside malls, are not entitled to an ad valorem exemption by statute. So the only ad valorem exemption that could be granted, should voter agree, or decide to grant one, would be for the commercial space that's going to be used as offices for Advisors XL.
All right. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Any further questions?
No.
All right, and I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Second, to open public hearing.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this? Okay, we do have one person signed up, Henry McClure.
Good morning, Henry McClure, Shawnee County, Topeka, Kansas. It's tough being the guy that points out the shortcomings of this deal. Now, number one, I wasn't privy to the lease yet, the lease that backs up the revenue to pay the bonds back. And if within that lease, the Cody Foster and the principals of Advisors XL, if they're personally going to guarantee that lease, well, that's great. I would hope their financial statement could back it up. And I'm sure you looked at it in the past, you know, considering all the deals you've done with them as JETO members. It's interesting that I don't think the citizens can afford their success. And the gymnastics of all this setup, it was beautiful. That was a work of art, portraying it the way you have. But there isn't one nickel that should be forgiven in sales tax and all the ad valorem taxes whatsoever. There isn't. No matter how nice of things you do, we shouldn't be granting it to just another rich guy. You know, those are the guys that we've got to get the money from. Those are the guys that make the economy go around here. And the average citizen, if this is all granted the way it looks like it's all set up to, everybody in this room, we're just working for the man. We're working for, because we're going to have to make up the $3 million. Well, if it's true that we're not going to go backwards, it's like a TIF built into it that we're not going to give back anything. But we should also be able to prosper on the upside. And we shouldn't be able to set a guy up in business so he can do business in a better motion, in a better fashion. And then the citizens of Topeka should have to pay for that, and Shawnee County. We shouldn't have to pay his way. He should be just like any other citizen that buys a building. And look what you did at the AT&T building. A lease to go to Topeka for $3 million and a $7 million construction allowance. The people, I just don't think the common people see what you guys are doing or get it and understand. And it's just not an even playing field. It's not fair. Would I loan, if I had the dough, would I loan Cody Foster $48 million with a personal guarantee based on the skim of managing $40 billion? He's got to have the revenues to be able to support that. So that part I don't argue with. That's fine. But waiving any of the taxes and giving him a special deal, it's just not fair to the citizens here. Thanks for your time.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay. I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. The hearing is closed. Any further discussion or questions?
I might just note, regardless of what was just said by the public comment, the the questions were already answered regarding any sort of tax adjustments or anything of that nature. So those were part of the record, and so I would move that we adopt the resolution.
And I'll just say, I mean, the citizens of Shawnee County are not giving Advisors Excel $48 million.
No,
That's-
in the application that's been filed, the applicant in this case is Big Dream Partners. They're buying the bond. They're going to buy their own bond.
And if they default on those bonds, the taxpayers of Shawnee County are not held liable for that.
Between the purchaser of the bond and the obligor on the bond, which in this case would be the same entity,
Right.
controlled presently by the same people.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
C, Information Technology. 1, consider approval of contract C300-2025, an emergency purchase for generator assessment and repairs by CK Power at a cost of $6,642, utilizing the contingency fund.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price, Information Technology. This is just a request to pay a emergency purchase we had. Our generator at the courthouse had a failure, and we reached out to a couple different vendors. First, a local vendor who gave us one quote, which actually one of the suggestions was replacing the whole generator. Because of that cost, we went and found another contractor who actually worked on was a reseller for a Kohler generator, which this generator was. They were able to repair it at a much lower cost than replacement, and this is just the request to get it approved to pay.
Questions?
No.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
D, Appraiser's Office. 1, consider approval to reclassify the commercial real property specialist position from a range 15 to range 17.
Good morning, Steve Bauman, County Appraiser. This position is currently classified at the same range as our general commercial appraiser position, but it requires significantly more experience. So approval of this request would address our compaction issues within the department and recognize the appropriate separation between the two positions. It's currently vacant due to retirement, and I worked with HR and Audit Finance through this process. The position is funded through our 25 and 26 budget requests, but there will not be an increase in wages. We're expecting a net decrease, or there will be a net decrease to our overall budget due to the retirement that we had. And I'll stand for any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
No.
No.
I'd move for approval.
I'll second. A motion by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Next item, please.
E, Planning Department. 1, consider approval of a preliminary final plat for Silver Lake Commercial and Industrial Park Subdivision Number 2 to incorporate an existing parcel as Lot 1 and to establish a legal building site for new development on Lot 2, located at Northwest US 24 Highway and 9939 Northwest US Highway 24 Highway. The subject properties are zoned I-1 and are located in Silver Lake Township.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joni Thadani, Director of the Planning Department. If you recall, a few weeks back, we were here for the rezoning case of this property. They were planning to expand their business. They came in and did the rezoning case. At the same time, they needed to do a plat. Not everything was ready to go at the same time, so we separated it into 2 different hearing times. Today, it's just consideration of the final plat. We do not need to do a public hearing on it. As mentioned, this is just on the east side of Silver Lake. It is taking one lot that was already platted and adding a second lot and replatting them into a new subdivision. There's an existing business, which is window design and remodeling on Lot 1. It contains a couple of commercial buildings, and that's already zoned I-1. Lot 2 is vacant, and it was previously used for agricultural use, and it was recently rezoned to I-1. Their proposed improvements include warehousing, manufacturing buildings, some RV parking, and maybe some storage unit development, all of which is utilized on I-1 zoning. The preliminary plat is shown here. And this would be the final plat. I don't believe that there were any special exceptions here. Access would be taken off of Highway 24, and KDOT would be the one giving entrance permits. It just shows the two separate lots, no special assignments necessary. Our recommendation is to approve the preliminary and final plat for this subdivision. Submission of a drainage report, I believe, has already been done, but the requirements of that drainage report must be met prior to any development, and then an entrance permit will be issued by Kansas Department of Transportation. They may also take some access from the lot next door, which is Lot 1 of the two. In that case, an ingress-egress easement would need to be assigned, but that is not part of our consideration. Other than that, it did go to the Planning Commission. I apologize about that. It went to the Planning Commission a few weeks ago, and they did vote to recommend approval 6-0.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, Chair.
Commissioner Rippon.
Could you go back to the aerial photo?
Sure. Here.
Are those sidewalks on each side of the drive, or are those some kind of trickle channel drainage thing?
No, I'm not sure actually what those are. The red marks, Josh? Is that what you're talking about, the red
Yeah.
marks? Do you remember
Well,
what the red marks? Yeah, no sidewalks there, but I'm not sure what the red marks are.
Well, this isn't the red mark. You can just see from the aerial photo, there's two like white lines that line the driveway on both sides, then they kind of flare out as you get towards 24
Oh,
highway.
that's on a neighboring property, so that's actually not
That's not
included
even
on
on
this
there,
one.
so-
Correct. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. It's also owned by a Robertson, but it's a family member, not the lot that we're looking at. That's to the west, and I'm not sure what those two white marks are.
So their driveway is going to be on the,
So the original Lot 1 took access from that lot to the west. However, they are putting in an entrance on the further east parcel.
Okay.
And that will help them access both.
so, okay.
Yeah. And they can still take access from that west lot. But again, we would prefer that they have an ingress-egress easement, but that's a civil legal matter between them and the neighboring property.
Okay. No other questions?
Okay. Any further questions?
No. I would move for approval.
I'll second. Motion by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Next item, please.
F, solid waste. 1, approval requested to award bid and execute contract C303-2025 with Landmasters LLC for concrete replacement at the Shawnee County Household Hazardous Waste Facility at a cost of $49,123.20, utilizing the Solid Waste Operational Fund, which is user fee funded.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Sutton, Shawnee County Solid Waste. Back in June 16th, I requested to go out for bid for some concrete replacement up there at the Household Hazardous Waste. Now, as a result, we received 6 bids in return. 3 were very favorable bids for us, and Landmasters LLC was the lowest and most responsive bid at $49,123.20. I have no issues with this, and upon approval of the contract, they can start sometime this week and we can get this going. So subject to your questions, gentlemen.
Questions? No. I got one real quick, if you don't.
Go ahead.
Bill, I know up at the Household Hazardous Waste, we had talked not that long ago about how there have been some water damage to the culvert up there also. Is that part of this project, or is that getting fixed through other means?
I am happy to report that is Public Works' responsibility. But that repair was completed, and now they're just now settling that gravel down. So they are passing traffic on that west side.
Okay, good.
And I do not know what the future plans hold for that.
All right, so it's safe now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right, good. Okay, that's it for me.
I don't have any.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Next item, please.
G, Commission. 1, cancel the August 18th Commission meeting. Commissioners to convene as a Board of County Canvassers at the election office.
So August 18th, we will be meeting at the election office as the Board of County Canvassers rather than the Board of County Commissioners. So I'll make a motion that we cancel the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
H, Audit Finance. 1, 2026 budget discussions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jennifer Sauer, Financial Administrator.
Pass that down.
We are here to pick up our budget discussion that we left off last Monday. There are a couple of changes I'd like to make note of. We've had a lot of communication from various departments. There are a couple items, though, that are, the departments have stated that this is a budget adjustment that they want to get to you for your information. One of them is the district courts have found $323,705 in intermittence that they had in their budget. So they're reducing that, which brings them down to the exact same budget that they had for 2025. So they have a 100% flat budget. Now, additionally, last week we mentioned that the appraiser's office had noted that due to some staffing changes in his office, he was going to be able to cut his 2026 budget request. And we met and got into the details of that, and that number is actually $86,000. So that is now an adjustment to his budget. I believe, let me look, we may have one more. Yes, IT also found some overtime in his budget, so he has reduced $14,217 from his request for 2026. So that is another small adjustment for the IT budget, and that's now down to a reduction of $159,217. So the amount that we are looking for in order to tie back to the mill levy of 49.326, which is what was posted in our public notices, is $2,267,594.
Jennifer, real
Yeah.
quick, going back to the district court request,
Yeah.
which I'm grateful for, thank you to the courts for offering that. Does that include the 27th pay period, though? You said it's a flat budget, but is it flat without or with that included?
With it. They're still good. They verified everything, and they're still able to accommodate the 27th pay period.
Okay.
Those are intermittents, so those are more sporadic staffing than a standard employee.
Okay, understood.
I know there is, I've heard from a couple different departments who I believe wanted to speak. One of them, I believe, was the sheriff's office. Yes, thank you, sorry. You're hiding in your uniform and all, so. So I don't know if you want to start with them,
Yeah,
with the
sure.
departments that have.
Good.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Hill with Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. We've been able to go through our budget and find some cuts that we believe that we could do and still maintain public safety. So from our original ask, we are dropping our budget request $1,001,490. So we've been able to find some overtime that we've been able to reduce. We believe due to staffing increases, we won't necessarily need that. And the rest, we've realized some savings using some special funding programs and grants that we can drop, so.
Very much
Okay,
appreciated.
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Jennifer, can you input that?
Absolutely. I think, was there anybody, was there any other departments who wanted to come up and speak? I'm not sure. I don't think I had anybody else who begged to come up.
I doubt he begged either.
Well, it was I interpreted it as a beg.
Okay. Any
Start at
questions?
the top and just work our way down.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. All right.
And I believe, I sent out notices, I believe we have representatives from most, if not all, of the, of our partners as well as our departments here.
Okay, so we'll start with corrections. Well, I guess community corrections, we've discussed that, I feel like, a few times about the match that we're required to do with the state of Kansas. I mean, did you guys want to have any discussions on that at all?
Jennifer, if we don't match, or if we don't continue the match, because we've been working towards a dollar-for-dollar match. I guess maybe this might be more for Steve, what the consequences of that would be, because I know that we do receive grant funds from the state of Kansas also.
Yes, we do.
Good morning. Steve Willis, Department of Corrections, overseeing community corrections. Your ask regarding the match. It is a state statute, and I can tell you that community corrections statewide is working with each of their county commissioners to try to work through that match. Right now, currently, 22 of the 30 agencies that are across the state are receiving county funds. Now, it's hard for us to compare what is provided with Shawnee County state or county funds versus what's provided at Riley County or Sedgwick County, because community corrections it does different things within each county that it serves. Some community corrections agencies statewide run a drug court program. Well, here, Shawnee County's drug court program is run by district court. Some have a pretrial program that they run, and that may be paid through the county services. Shawnee County does not do that. Shawnee County does have the fourth largest population that's community corrections serves within the felony probation that we see. And when we compare our services with those that kind of meet our population, such as Douglas County, Saline County, maybe Reno County, Wyandotte County, they all provide county matches.
How much further do we have to go before we are at a complete dollar-for-dollar match?
Currently, in terms of the state grant funds, the Shawnee County is at a 50% match. And what I would share with you at this moment, with the ask that we had in June when we met for the budget hearing, that would set us pretty comfortable, and the need for 100% match, I don't believe is necessary with the work that we're doing, with the approach that we're taking with other grant funds. As you know, we have, in the last year, provided a $76,000 grant and a $725,000 grant that serves the population that we work with, and we'll continue to search for those as well.
But the amount of your request does not get you to 100%
No.
match, right?
Right.
Okay.
And that is understandably is not what we're searching for either.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to Department of Corrections. Yeah, you can come on up, Brian.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. As you know, in our budget presentation, the opening, staffing, and funding of the behavioral health unit was the sole amount of the request, outside of anticipated increases in contractual with our big contracts, things like that. Initially, that we don't anticipate opening the third floor, and that so out of the 33 corrections specialists, we immediately backed out 10 of those, which amounted to $925,020. That right there was a 2.2 reduction to the initial request. During the last commission meeting, there was a mention of, can we hold off on funding after the first quarter, because we were looking at doing that? And the answer is yes, we can. We worked, Major Willis and I met with Jennifer and her team, and that if we remain from funding those positions till, I believe it would have been April or March 27th or 28th, that would be an additional reduction of almost another $480,000. A total reduction to our cost would be $1.397, $1,397,634, which would be a 3.3 request. For us to go any farther, it would require us to delay opening the facility, and which, if that is the request of the commission, I'm not saying it is, but if that's the request of the commission, us to delay, I'm hoping we don't go there. We certainly would have to look at delaying and not funding positions till later in the facility. I'm hoping that we can avoid that, because I want to stay in good graces with the state of Kansas and KDADS, who are generously giving us the $10 million, and for us to continue our balance of our commitment to them of opening, starting our facility, competency restoration program in there, and the other programs. But we are able to hold off on funding those past the first quarter that came up, and that would be 1.3. That would be an additional $472,614, and I worked through those figures with Jennifer.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Thank you, Brian.
All right,
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
I'm assuming you would like me to update that too.
Please, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you a peek real quick. Actually, hang on, let me do this, so I don't have to keep doing that. And again, this number is just to get you to your maximum amount. I know at one point you guys had also talked about hoping it was even less than that, but, okay. Okay. So the district attorney is here today. Did you want to have him come up next?
Sure. Yep.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Kage, Shawnee County DA. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you this morning and continue the discussion regarding our 2026 budget request. I would note there were a couple things that came up last week. I was not able to attend the meeting, but I was able to watch, and I want to start out by addressing a couple of those items, if I may. So there was a question about vacant positions, and I consulted with HR last week, and they gave me a listing of our current vacant positions at the time. There were 9 vacant positions listed. Of the 9 vacant positions, 8 of them have funding requests attached to the 26 budget. So 1 is not being requested for any type of funding at all. Of the remaining 8, 6 of those already have offers that have been accepted and start dates given. So we have folks filling those 6 spots. The remaining 2 vacant positions have interviews that are ongoing and continue this week. We have not, we've not had problems filling our positions. Our problem is more of a retention issue. And that arises when we bring somebody in and they prove to be very competent and skilled in their work, and then they discover after some period of time that they can do the same exact work in a neighboring office and get paid more money to do it. That's a losing proposition. We talked about the market gap during the initial presentation. That's something that we have to close. All of the duties that I fulfill as the elected district attorney for Shawnee County are mandated by the United States Constitution, the Kansas Constitution, and state law. These are not discretionary. I don't have the option to just not do it. And I told you about our successes. I told you about the extraordinary outcomes that we've been able to achieve. And I would tell you that last year was the first time that my office has been fully funded. It's the last time we've had, the first time we've had adequate resources to fully engage and do our work. And this is the outcome that you see. And that outcome is, if you commit murder or rape, or you harm a child, or you break into somebody's home, or you threaten to harm somebody, it is a certainty, not a virtual certainty, it is an absolute certainty that you will be convicted and held accountable for those actions. That's never been the case in this jurisdiction, in the history of it. It is today. So what I'm asking for is for the ability to continue performing at that level, continue performing that work. I told you I would give you the best prosecution office in the state last year, and I've delivered on that promise.
All of that being said, an increase of $856,000 in 1 year, when we're on a very tight budget year, can we scale that back some?
The only discretionary item that I have in my budget is the $54,000 for computer hardware for those upgrades. And we talked about that during the presentation. If our systems fail, we need to have that hardware, but if I have some sort of assurance that either IT can cover that cost or that we can come back and pick it up there, then I'm fine striking that item from the budget request. Everything else is tied into personnel and is a direct representation of the conversation we just had. We've also moved away from using our diversion fund in an ongoing basis, and that grew out of conversations I had with the county counselor's office. You will see a number of line items that are listed out accurately for the first time, honestly, in many years. And that is a direct consequence of hiring an accountant to become our director of finance and go through these items line by line and work with audit finance to build a comprehensive and accurate representation of our ongoing expenses. So those numbers are not going to jump again next year, but what you're seeing is a redistribution in an accurate way.
But if I look at this, I've got 9 open positions right now.
And we just talked about those. I can walk through it again.
Well, and you said one of them is not funded currently. Which one is that?
And,
You know?
yeah, I do know, Commissioner, and I can tell you exactly which one that is.
1005B.
Thank you, Jennifer. I did confirm with Jennifer last week that I was correct in thinking it was not funded. I'm glad I did that. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't think you guys could hear me. It's DA 1005B. That
So
is not funded.
it's one of the assistant DA positions.
That's correct. And to recap, that leaves 8 positions that are showing vacant, but 6 of those positions have offers that have been made and accepted with actual start dates. We have people coming in to fill those positions. The 2 remaining positions have ongoing interviews this week. I don't anticipate they'll remain vacant, and they are necessary to carry out our statutory and ethical duties in the office.
Commissioner Ripley?
What's your timetable on hiring these people? Will it be the first of the year?
No, these folks are starting this month.
Oh, they're starting now.
Do we know which ones are they're already hired then? And
They are.
which ones are those? I mean, is it the legal assistant, the assistant DAs, the deputy DA, assistant deputy DA, I mean?
Every position, thanks. Every position that is listed there, apart from the one that Jennifer just referred to, and 1 ADA position and 1 legal assistant position are all filled.
Okay.
Those are the 2 that have ongoing interviews this week. We've back.
So last year, I think we had given you some additional money for the cold case fund also, right?
That's correct.
So if, I mean, I know you had a good year. I believe last year we had also talked about a high-profile case that was going to need to be tried in '25, that I think we had given extra money for that as well.
If you're talking about the capital
Yeah,
case.
yeah, the
case
Chandler
fund,
case,
yes.
yeah.
That's correct. And that
So-
case was tried, and was tried successfully in another jurisdiction.
Right. But it's over now. So, I mean,
that's correct.
I know that the expenses are still real, but not from that case. And I believe we had given a little bit of a bump just because of that, because it was being tried in another county and everything else. We had some additional expense. I mean, I have full confidence that you guys are doing an excellent job. But you're also doing an excellent job with the budget you had last year. And so, I mean, this is a significant increase. And, I mean, it's pretty much all going to wages, isn't it?
Well, again, it is primarily going to wages, yes. But there's also a movement away from using the diversion fund, so some of those ongoing expenses that historically we've passed through the diversion fund, those have been moved over to the budget, but 96% of my budget is wages. That's the overwhelming factor driving cost.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so emergency management, actually, I don't know that there's really much we need to talk about with them. I mean, their increase was essentially just the 27th pay period. Or I guess if you want to come on up, Dusty, there's a little bit there, I guess.
Dusty Nichols, Emergency Management. Stand by for question.
Any questions for Dusty?
I can just elaborate a little bit on
Sure, sure.
our budget. The grant that we were getting for years, at least since I've been here, we're anticipating not getting that, and that's roughly 15% of our budget that was going to be missing this time, which is why we put in for that planner position coming this way. We did drop the Tier 2 request for that intermittent, and that was about 3% of the budget. So what we're looking at now is, to answer Commissioner Cook's question from last week, we were lucky enough when we didn't hire that planner position, we had just finished getting our plan certified through the state, and we had about a 3-year cycle. So that's the only reason I'm not really jumping up and down screaming about it, getting that person on. So we are handling it. We are falling behind on some requirements, but again, the unknown at the national level is that trickle down too. So I don't have a better answer, unfortunately, other than I anticipate really needing the planner this year.
So the grant, how much was the grant for?
It was, it kind of ranged depending on how much we got for the state, but it was between 93 and 104 over the past 10 years, 15 years.
And that was directly from the state of Kansas?
It's a trickle down, it's an emergency management grant that came from FEMA down to the state, and then the state dispersed it. And you had to meet certain requirements, of course, to get that grant. We have every year. This year, there's kind of a rumor, I don't go off rumors, that it's coming, but if it is, the timeline that they're putting out, I'd be surprised if it happened. I'll just say that. I don't want to throw any agency under the bus or anything like that, but we'll see.
So you've not gotten any, or have you gotten notification that the
Nothing
grant is
official.
cut?
Oh, we know it's not coming so far, because otherwise we would have had to put in for those applications and all that prior to this. And there's no indication that it's coming, official anyway.
Okay, so, I mean, we've seen this with other departments also, that, you know, when the state or the federal government cut grants to us, you know, it's unfair, in my opinion at least, to the taxpayers of Shawnee County to subsidize things that the federal government and the state of Kansas were paying for or should be paying for. So, I mean, it's frustrating that, you know, they cut things and then it comes to us and there's an expectation that we just pick up the tab.
Agreed. I share your frustration, and I will tell you that we've used that grant every year that we got it for the planner. And we don't have it.
Okay. Any other questions for Dusty?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Rippon?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
For the record, I don't have any questions of drug court or safe streets.
Right, we've already spoken with the sheriff, so that will move us down to the recreation portion of our budget. Stormont-Vail Event Center is essentially a flat budget except for the owner building expense portion of that, which we did increase by $50,000. Anyone want to talk about that?
No.
Oh, looks like Kellen does. No.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Stormont-Vail Event Center. The additional request to our owner building expense line for 2026 is due to the fact that the hockey season will begin 2026 and run through 2028. The added expense goes to some capital expenditures that are needed to ensure the ability to play hockey in the building. That includes ice compressor plant rebuilds, new concrete anchor sleeves for the dasher and dam wall system, additional glass. They do break it quite a bit. I imagine these guys will break a few more sheets than the juniors will as they get checked into it. So that additional $50,000 is to cover some of those additional costs to operate hockey.
And we expect to get that back in revenues, right?
We do. We do. The contract on the 3-season or the 3-year season hockey contract is pretty sizable for the building. It's a great contract for us. Their deposit is held until year 3. So it's a pretty good opportunity for us to recoup those revenues throughout the season. We have 28 home games. If those perform like the 4 exhibition home games performed in late January and early February of this year, we should exceed our budgeted revenue number on that piece of business.
Okay. Questions? All right, thank you.
I will say I know we're not there yet, but we were able to find some additional savings in our CIP request. Do you want me to save that update until we get to that piece, or?
Please.
Yeah.
The Fair Association was flat.
There is Fair Association representatives here.
Does anybody want to?
Larry Weiner, Shawnee County Fair Association. Yeah, we had a flat request, but yeah, we dug into it deeper. We do have for potential rental of Heritage Hall and Ag Hall, and we can make sure we don't rent that this coming year so we can knock off $5,400 off our budget request.
Are those being utilized right now?
They have been in the past, but they haven't for the last couple of years.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So if you want to make that notation, Jennifer.
You did say 5,400.
5,400.
Perfect. Then that leaves Parks and Rec.
And their increase is only $14,000 once you factor in the 27th pay period.
Correct.
Any questions for Parks and Rec? No. Okay. I mean, actually, let's go back, because you did ask everybody what it would look like for a 5% cut.
Yes.
Which would be almost $1 million to them.
Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Department. So, yeah, we did do that exercise, and we were able to get the 5%, actually just a little bit over 5%. Would you like me to go through it all? Or do you have specific questions about it?
Just as an exercise, let's see what you came up with.
Okay. Okay. Well, we did have, obviously, as part of, we had come earlier with the $500,000 reduction, so some of this is a little redundant, but we had vacant positions that we were going to eliminate. We added one more vacant position to that list as part of this. We are discussing right now possibly partnering with an outside organization to do operations at the Great Overland Station. And if that happens, we think there could be some savings on our side from staffing and operational expense. Pool schedules and contracts. So we do have a contract with Rossville that doesn't expire until the end of next year. But if we were able to end that agreement, we think there would be significant savings for us as far as staffing and utilities and maintenance costs. But again, that's it's debatable as whether or not we'd be able to get out of that agreement this year, or if we'd have to wait until next year. Software system changes. We currently use Cartograph, which we do have other departments that use Cartograph. So it's a pretty expensive piece of software. And if we think we probably could find a similar system that maybe didn't have quite the capabilities and power of Cartograph and reduce that by a pretty significant amount. Would have to be careful with that because we do have I know Public Works uses Cartograph. We would have to figure out how that would impact them. And See-Click Fix as well is tied to Cartograph. So, and that is a pretty valuable piece of software for the public. You know, you don't have to know when you're standing in a park or looking at a pothole who you have to send that issue to. You just submit it on See, Click, Fix, and it gets to the right person.
Tim, but
Yeah.
isn't Cartograph, I mean, one of the issues is it has so many other functions that we don't need or utilize?
Yes, that's my understanding, is that, and I've said this before, that it's sort of the Cadillac of asset management, and I think we probably could do just as well with maybe the Toyota version. Yeah. Okay. Utilities, this was part of our original cut. We think our natural gas numbers were a little high, so we reduced that. This one would be, I'm just really hesitant to mention this, but I'm going to. We currently subsidize operations for the Boys and Girls Club at the Abbott Community Center and the Paris Community Center, Shawnee South. If we weren't to do that, if we were to hand those facilities over to the Boys and Girls Club, because the last thing we'd want to do is see them not there, but that would save about $60,000 worth of utility costs, and that doesn't even count the maintenance that we do there, which is sometimes substantial. Cuts to our sports staff are, we think those numbers are high. That was part of the original $500,000 cut. Multiple small program reductions, fleet, outdoor adventure programs, aquatic services, marketing, none of those being altogether adding up to about $22,000. Closing a Rice Community Center. So we spent, our numbers last year were just a little over $19,000 in utility costs there. We don't staff that facility, but we do have two programs, the East Side Senior Center and It Takes a Village program that operate out of Rice. We think we could move those two programs. I'm not sure how happy they would be about it, but we think we could move them to other locations so they would have a place to be, but then we would shut down Rice. And last thing on my list was something that was already talked about, which was reducing our Helen Hawker budget by the Topeka Civic Theater had asked to increase that. And we originally showed a $10,000 increase, but we've reduced that. We've taken that away. So altogether, that puts us at about $1,041,000, which is about 5.2% of our budget.
Okay.
But as you identified, not all of those things may be able to be done in 1 year.
I think that specifically the Rossville pool, we are under a contractual agreement, and I don't see anything in there that would allow us to end that agreement early. But of this $1,041,000, that total came up to about $65,000. So,
Like Cartograph, for example, you need to work with Public Works before you could just identify a new program to go to.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't want to leave anybody in the lurch.
I think that's certainly an item worth looking into, though.
Yeah, I think, I want to say just publicly that I think the information that we're gathering is invaluable. But it's just all the other things that it can do that we don't take advantage of, that I don't want to pay for.
Yeah.
So of the 500,000 that you have already identified and that's been taken into account, is there an additional amount today that you would feel comfortable with adding to that?
Well, all of those things that I mentioned, for example, the staffing changes at Great Overland Station. I'm not at a point right now where I can say whether I would do that or not, because we don't have that agreement.
Right.
However, if that does happen, then yes, I think we could make some, I'd be happy to add that if we could do it. The rest of these, one of them I didn't touch on, which I think is going to be very unpopular, especially right now, is closing our pools on one day a week, like every Monday. Or allows us to do maintenance, allows us to do training of our staff, especially early on in the season. And it would save us a little over $100,000. I don't think that'll be very popular with the public, and I understand why not. So there's really nothing, the $500,000 numbers, we're right there. We're at $499,819.76. I feel real comfortable with that. I think we could make all of those changes and be just fine.
But there's an additional 500,000 that's.
Right, there's another $540,000 that is a lot more complicated.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions for Tim? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mays, it's the standing time.
Okay.
1 hour.
All right, so we have a standing policy, so we are 1 hour in, so we're going to stand up for a minute. Okay.
I already updated the appraiser's office from last week. I don't believe, I can't see anybody anymore because I'm short.
Mr.
I don't
Bauman's in the
believe-
back.
Yeah, I don't believe there's anything additional for him at this point, but did you want to speak to Mr. Bauman?
Do you guys have any questions?
No.
No, I think we're okay there. Weed department did have an increase, but not a lot. If you take out the 27th pay period, it was $11,000, or no, $19,000 approximately.
Yes.
Do we have, I see John walking up, so.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Landon, Director of the Weed Department.
Any questions for John?
I don't think so.
No.
Nice of you to walk up here, though.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Planning department, also a pretty small increase there. I presume that's 100% wages. Does anyone have questions for Joni?
No.
Okay. Then Public Works.
And I did hear from Public Works, they, through their initial 500,000, are almost at the 5% that you had asked. I believe he found a couple additional cuts that we could just make for the end of year transfer to get him to the full 5,000, if that's what you guys wanted him to do. It would be a difference of
5%, or is that?
Yes, I'm so sorry, 5%. It would be an additional $43,468.
Okay. Any questions about any of that for Public Works? Okay. And then Register of Deeds is next. Very similar to the Weed Department in their request. Do we have any questions for the Register of Deeds?
No.
No? Okay. Then we'll, oh, yeah.
Sorry,
please.
I was going to tell you, sorry, I totally forgot that I put this on here. Nelson did speak with the ambulance service, and the increase that we had noted for 2026 was for the nurse navigation program. In looking through their funding, they believe that they could actually reduce that down to a $40,000 increase for 2026. So that's where that negative $20,000 came from.
Okay. Thank
Sorry,
you.
I forgot to acknowledge that.
You know, and that is the nurse navigation program, which is $60,000 total, which I believe our contract had ended earlier this year, and we chose to continue it for the remainder of the year.
Yes. They are also picking up the I believe they're picking up the fourth, thank you, they're picking up the fourth quarter for this year, so they're not going to ask for the additional funding from contingency for that. So contingency picked up some funding for the third quarter, and then the ambulance service is going to cover the fourth quarter at no cost to Shawnee County.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
Thank you to them for being a good partner.
Animal shelter, the increase was basically due to the amount of dogs and cats and animals that were brought in. Is that, I mean, other than that, I don't think we need any further discussion there. Thank you for being here, though. And then we'll move on to community resources. That is flat, as is the conservation district. Did we have any questions about any of those? Okay. Coroner, I don't believe we get much of a say in that, do we?
It is a contract. We are, 2026 will be the third year of a 3-year contract.
Yeah, so that is already set in stone. Health Department, there was an increase there.
Yes.
Do we have any questions for Teresa?
Teresa, if she can give an update just where the state grants, maybe status.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. So I was not here last week, but my team kept me apprised of what had been discussed. I did check our grant awards last night, and so we do have, the good news is we do have some pending awards. However, I have not received any official notice of grant awards. So that was largely our increase, was because of these grant awards that we had not received. So we have it's in an email of a regional FEP award of $18,865, which would be 50% of what we had requested and typically have been allocated. The early indication is that we should receive the other 50% of that at some point, but there's no time frame on that. Again, no actual notice of grant award had been received on that. Our local FEP award is to be awarded at 70%. And so again, a pending award of $77,134 is in our grant management system. Again, what I've been able to read and determine from the various webinars and conversations I've been on is that other 30% is also expected. But again, no time frame for that. And as a reminder for us, these grant awards technically we run on the state fiscal year, so July 1 through June 30. So these would cover the first 6 months of next year, of 26. And then our IAP, which is our Immunization Action Plan, that award looks like it's going to be reduced. There's some conversation that that was going to be a pre-pandemic award amount. So that award that's currently pending is $28,606, and there's no further amount pending on that. That's about $5,000 less than what we've received over the last 5 years. So again, those are pending awards. I don't have any official notice of grant awards. I have emails, and I'm optimistic that those notice of grant awards will be coming. Those were largely our increases. I'm up closer now so I can actually see this amount. Largely making up when we went back to amend that budget request. Our other item that we did was reduce our indirect cost. And so that added back in, and we have done that due to the amount that we believe our WIC award will be changing to next year. There's a funding formula that's changing, and we know that that grant award we will be doing everything we can to cover salaries and benefits with it, and not being able to claim as many indirects as what we typically have been.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Teresa, sometimes it's tough questions to ask, but are there programs that the health department is doing that, while we may not want to, could be cut or scaled back?
My team, I mean, we run lean. We're considered a large health department. If you look at the other large health departments, we're actually quite small compared to a lot of the others with that. So, last year we reduced due to the request to go back and look at some staffing, we reduced our immunization department. And so we went from 1 over FTEs down to a 0.5 FTE. Has it been challenging at times? 100%. But is my team committed to doing the work? Absolutely. So I think there's always an opportunity. We could look at what can we do with less. The opportune time to do that is when we have vacant positions for me. That feels always better than when it's a filled position. Right now, I'm not ready to go on public record and say program A or program X, could be decreased. But yes, we've had some internal conversations of if the time comes, what could we do? And we know we're in a volatile world, kind of like Dusty talked about. A lot of our grants are federal grants that are passed through from the state. And so again, I'm here speaking, these grants are only through the first 6 months. So my team and I have no idea what grant opportunities are going to be available for us next March and April when we're typically applying. So next July through December could look vastly different for our department.
Okay, now, those 3 grants that you mentioned there.
Yes.
The budget was built on the assumption that we were getting none of that. Is that correct? My understanding?
This, I believe this increase amount that I see up here, my original budget was built, did not include those. And so we went back and we amended it to include those changes.
Yeah, sorry. So can I ask a question?
Yes,
So
please.
you said it's 6 months. So the 3 amounts you gave total 124,600. Does that, would you be able to subtract off half of that since it's 6 months? I'm not understanding what you're looking at doing.
Gotcha. Typically, in a quote-unquote normal year, we would look at decreasing it by that full amount, just because that's how we typically do. But again, I'm standing here saying, I don't know if some of these grants will be available next March or April. So come next June, I could find myself with no grant funding again for some of these positions. And so if we reduce it completely, then some of the programs may be gone away completely.
Okay.
So would you be comfortable with 50% of that for the first 6 months?
Absolutely.
Okay. So 62,300. Thank you.
Although, just to clarify though, that number still could go up, right? Because that was just the 70% of the 1 grant.
It could, yes. It's 70% of one and 50% of another. And then the other one, the IAP, that will be the full amount that we receive. We're not anticipating any additional dollars.
Okay. So the unfortunate situation we're in right now is because of the revenue neutral rate, we have a number that we have to hit now. And so in some cases, we may have to overshoot a little bit in hopes that that just comes through. I mean, that's kind of the situation we're in, I think. I would imagine that we're going to have to come back to that number at some point, but we'll see how the rest of this goes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Teresa? Okay, thank you.
Health Access is not here. She was out on vacation, and she just sent an email to us apologizing that she is not here. But her increase is actually a return to what her budget was originally in 2024. She requested a decrease last year, thinking that she was seeing a trend, and unfortunately, it was just a 1-year decrease. And so she is running a little tight in 2025's budget and was asking for her funding to be restored back to the 110.
Okay. All right. Extension Council. Anyone have any questions for them?
I see Candace is here, but they've already made an allocation.
Yeah. Okay. Next up would be Vallejo.
Kathy Mosier, Brian Blevins, and Chris Wills, Vallejo Family Service and Guidance and Breakthrough House, are concerned about a 5% funding request reduction is that it's hitting us alongside the 1.3 million in mainly federal dollars that we've incurred since we put our first budget request in. This is going to make us, it force us to make some extremely difficult decisions, including the potential, the most narrow margins that we have are going to be more like the crisis beds, group homes, PAYE programs. These are critical services that already exist in our region. The youth and adults in crisis that could go untreated and then drive up costs in other budget areas, cause us to consider that this cut that we may have to make might not be a projected cost savings overall for the county. So when you end up with incarcerated, hospitalized, or homeless, there is no other for the uninsured, another resource or partner that can pick up what we do. And the safety net gets weakened and has a lot of ramifications. So please know that we are transparent and want to be good community partners with the county, and we appreciate very much the support that you give us, and understand that your budget decisions are also challenging. We would just urge the commission that any even small reduction in our budget can create disproportionate harm when applied to services that are already operating on those thin margins, and these protect vulnerable youth and adults from other costs of addiction, legal system involvement, and death. So,
in 2013, we had to make a very large cut to mental health. And then we worked over the next decade to restore that back to where it was. Initially, the request was for an additional $400,000, and then with federal funding loss, you added an additional $460-some thousand, $420,000. If we were to only increase by the $400,000 that was initially requested, what might we expect from that?
and what we have looked at combing through is there's nothing that wouldn't cut deep and immediate and long-term. However, we feel like we have potential, sort of like the health department, to have other grants and avenues to pursue if those opportunities continue to exist next year. So we'd be looking more at a comfort level in terms of not impacting the county by more like a 2.5%.
What would that be? I mean,
oh,
It'd be
yeah.
Yeah, half, the cut was 178,000, so it'd be half that.
okay.
So, a couple of years ago, we were celebrating the fact that we had gotten Vallejo's budget up to $2 million. And because it had been cut significantly prior to that. And then there was an increase in the budget. And then last year we got it up to the $2,750,000. We were hopeful that by becoming a CCBHC that there would be some additional savings, and that's just not coming to fruition, or?
So what happens with CCBHC is there are a lot of compliance issues. The timing is difficult this year, particularly for us because of the cost of merging and staying in compliance while we do that. So when you talk about having to have one continuous running electronic health record, for instance, but then you also have to maintain your separate health records. I think it's 10 years, and keep those running and reportable. So that's one example of an expense that is a temporary expense through the merger, but once we get there, those things will have some efficiencies down the road. So that's for the merger. And then for your CCBHC question, what we have found is that we have increased access by 70% in the first year. So we were grossly underfunded for a while, and when you create delays or cut programs, then you have costs in other areas, and what we have been able to do is increase that by 70%. Now, I don't know, I can't prove any correlations, but you also have crime rate going down as well, and we work very closely with our law enforcement partners, and will continue to do so. But the CCBHC, for instance, requires much more in terms of best practices and outcomes. So we will be able to show you more of those outcomes as that ramp up continues. So I would expect that next year we'll have more of those answers for you on the CCBHC. However, we cannot use Medicaid dollars for uninsured. So those are two also separate situations.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, mental health is very important to me. It always has been. Restoring the mental health cuts, that's something that was very near and dear to making sure we could as a county, because we're either going to take care of people's mental health through Vallejo or through the jail. And unfortunately, if we're taking care of it through the jail, there's already been a crime that's occurred, and Mr. Kage's then involved, the sheriff's involved, the courts are involved. And so if we can get upstream and address more of that, that's always been a goal, is to get upstream and address it before we involve the jail, the sheriff, the courts, the district attorney. But I just don't see how we can take on an $800,000 increase this year. So I think we're going to have to reduce that by half, because we still have a $979,000 to get down to, just to get to where we have published. And we're just about through the whole sheet. So unfortunately, I don't see where we're going to be able to do the full $800,000 this year. And I'm hopeful that we can at least increase it by $400,000. So at least there's still additional funding going to Vallejo to get upstream, but not as much as what we had wanted to. In the same way, we want to have a fully staffed and open mental health facility at the jail, but we're going to have to delay some of that. So.
Understood, and we just want you to understand the impact that we were asked to provide, but we also understand the decision that is very difficult, so.
I think that the need is well illustrated. I also am a strong supporter of mental health, improving the mental health of our community. But what I'm not a supporter of is, again, I go back to some of the times I've mentioned this before, is subsidizing the federal and state government. They're celebrating their budget cuts, but all it's doing is pushing it down to us. And so, you know, a budget cut at the state level becomes a budget increase at the county level. And that's, I mean, we can't subsidize state government. It's just not realistic. And so, I mean, the reality is that even if we were to approve this budget as is, you're still missing $500,000 that you were getting last year from the state government. And so we increase our budget, let's just say we fund this entirely, we increase our budget by $820,000, we still get less services for that. You know, the community is still worse off even if we increase our budget by that amount because of the cuts at the state and federal level. And so, I mean, it's a frustrating place to be at. And it's you know, honestly, I doubt that any of our legislators are watching, but it's time that they step up again and fund this, because it is a function of all of government, not just local government. I mean, we can't fix the mental health crisis at the local level. I mean, we'll contribute as much as we possibly can, but this is something, it's going to take everybody, not just us.
And the state government, the legislature did pass a 4% increase for the underinsured and uninsured. What happened was then they did an across-the-board 1.5% at the end, which the governor then chose to have that done on that new money, which made more than just a 1.5% for us. So 6%, sorry.
Okay.
You guys want to say anything?
Any other questions for Vallejo? All right, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to reduce Vallejo's budget by $400,000.
I don't know that we need a motion at this point.
Any commission action in the past has usually been a motion and a second when it comes to commissioner adjustment.
Well, as we've been going through this, though, I don't believe we've had motions and seconds on.
Well, at this point, all
sheriffs or-
departments have been voluntarily cutting their own budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the first time this would be a commissioner action. And it's not something I'm excited about doing, and it's not something that I want to do, but I don't see where we're going to close the gap.
I believe this is what you're asking me to put on here, the
Yes.
difference between the BCC adjustments versus the departments making their own adjustments.
Correct. Because at this point, all adjustments have been by the departments themselves.
I don't know that I'm ready to second that just yet. Are you?
Well, I'm with you. I think the states, they need to step up. I mean, with our mental health module, we're the psychiatric facility in Topeka now. That's what we are. And where's the state and all this?
Mr. Chairman, while I appreciate and I agree completely that the state and the federal governments have pushed their burdens down to the community and county level, we still have a $979,000 budget to get, time is closing in rapidly on us. We have to have at least a budget that reduces by $979,451 before we have our public hearing. Because that is what we've told the public we will not go above.
That's correct.
So we don't have a choice. Time is fastly going away.
We don't have much time.
So, but I understand that if the motion dies for a lack of a second, I understand that as well.
I'm not saying that we're not going to cut anything. I'm saying I think we need to come back to it to figure out the amount of the cut, what that needs to be, because we do have other departments that we need to talk to still.
Even if we second this, we can still come back.
We absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, you can.
I'm going to second, because I agree with Mr. Cook. Commissioner Cook, we have to make some cuts somewhere. We're a long ways off yet.
Okay. I've got a motion by Commissioner Cook, a second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? I'm opposed. Motion passes 2-1. Next up would be TARC.
Yes, the next three partners of ours have requested a 3% increase for this year over 2025.
Commissioners, my name is Matt Fletcher. I'm the Executive Director of TARC, also joined here today by Laura Marple, our Finance Director with TARC as well. We mostly wanted to just say thank you for the continued support that Shawnee County has shown to children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The funding that we receive from Shawnee County helps to cover service gaps that state and federal funds can't can't meet those particular needs. And in some circumstances, it provides the ability to provide services to individuals who otherwise wouldn't qualify for state or federal sources of funds. So that's my main message today, is thank you for that continued support that you've provided to Shawnee County children and adults with developmental disabilities and their families as well. We were asked to respond, as you've heard from many others today, to the 5% reduction request. We believe that we are able to meet that without significantly adjusting staffing programs or operations. However, we did want to make you aware, and you've heard some similar comments from other entities here this morning, but there is considerable uncertainty in terms of federal funds coming to the state for Medicaid over the next decade. We also, in the community-based IDD service network, are faced with complying with some pretty significant requirements from the federal government within the next year's time. There will be additional costs that will be passed on to community service providers in complying with those changes that our state agency, KDADS, is currently working to make those plans and to comply with the federal government. So we just ask that you understand that there's a great deal of uncertainty now for our systems due to those pressures at the federal and state level, and that if there's an opportunity to revisit this in the future, we would ask that you would look at these cuts at that time. We received a 3% adjustment for 2026. Taking us back, that 3% would keep us flat moving forward. So if that is a potential option, we would ask you to consider that as well. But we understand the pressures that you're currently under in trying to make this target. So with that, I'll stop and answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. I don't know, would we just go back to a flat budget then for the same as last year, or?
I believe this year the 3% increase was $31,843. Is that what you're looking at, reducing that?
That's what I would think. I don't want them to go backwards, for sure.
So that would bring their budget, just making sure, to $1,059,951, which is the amount they received in 2025. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thank you. And then the service programs for the elderly.
Jennifer, could you update that number where we're at now?
It's up at the top. It's minus 947, 608.
Does that didn't take out?
The 400,000 would be the number
547?
next to it, which would be the 547, 608.
Okay.
Okay, the service programs for the elderly.
Ms. Thomas is here.
And the social service grants.
Yes.
Any questions about any of that?
No.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
very
these are-
similar. It's a 3% increase.
And these are the most vulnerable.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tough stuff. At the request that I received last week, I went through the spreadsheets, and we have reduced by 5%. We are at 2025 funding, and new spreadsheets are available.
Okay, so.
And CRC took a haircut, too.
So I don't know that we need to go 5%, but if we could do the 3% and just be level with what we did last year, that's okay?
All right, I'll take care of that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that would be a 26,000 $236 cut to the programs for the elderly, and a $7,755 cut to social service grants. That brings our number, after the BCC adjustments, to $513,614. $17, so sorry. So the only area we have left then down here is the general expenses. Or administrative services, I'm sorry, and the first is the general expenses. When I looked at our general expenses, one of the areas that we could take a cut is we could not make a transfer into the roof and building fund, if you guys would like to do that, or reduce that amount. The impact on that would be for future projects. If you have a building that needs a roof replacement, that can be quite expensive. That's why we started doing the transfers over into that fund, so that we were prepared. We are currently in the process of getting the courthouse roof repaired right now, which could have unexpected increases to it. I have no idea. They have not begun that work yet. The contingency is also from the general expenses, so that's a transfer into our contingency fund. The impact on that would be, it's a greater risk for us at the county, with all the cuts that we're making in our departmental budgets. This is where our safety net lies. So as we're making these departmental cuts, that is the risks that we would be taking into the contingency fund. And then our capital outlay transfer is another area. And so that would be a reduction of what our future capital projects could be. And if you'd like me to, I can go ahead and talk about our departmental as well.
I'll just throw my 2 cents in on that. I don't think we need to cut anything from the roof fund. This is, we're going to end up paying for new roofs as they go bad one way or another I think by allocating an amount to this, which has not gone up.
No, it's 200, yeah,
I think it's just smart to plan ahead for that kind of thing, because we own a lot of buildings, and roofs, it seems like, are always going bad. Parking lots are always falling apart. So, I mean, I think we probably need to continue doing that. And that way they're not unplanned expenses. So, any questions about any of the other items that she mentioned?
No.
Okay.
Did you want to discuss audit finance, since I'm next on the list?
Any questions about audit finance budget? The BCC. I mean, again, I think it's pretty much all wages there when you take out the 27th pay period.
Yeah, I think your situation is much like my own, which is you have the amount of budget that you have that is not personnel is very small, and you do not have any intermittents budgeted, so it's just your existing staff.
And then the clerk was pretty much the same thing. Elections is because there's a statewide election, so that went up due to the anticipated cost of the larger election cycle. Facilities is flat. Human resources. Did that include the wage study?
It does.
How much was the wage study worth?
$100,000.
Okay, would you be willing to take that out? I know how you feel about it, but
You've really already said it for me. Just as the DA discussed the wage gap, that we have to address. I don't think there's a director or elected official in this room that would tell you it's easy to get good and qualified people. We need to be able to not only hire but retain folks, and a wage study is the best way to do it. Our unions negotiate their wages, our classified and unclassified employees do not. So I understand what you have to do if you have to do it, but I can't stand here and not advocate for our employees and say I would give it up.
Understandable.
Commissioner Mays?
Yeah.
One item that I've been talking with Angela about would be not just a wage study, but a needs study. How many employees do we have? Are there reduction in staffing that we can do, or reallocation of assignments that might generate other efficiencies? But again, we won't know that till we go through a full study. The worst thing you can do is say, we're going to continue to do it this way because it's the way it's always been done.
Completely agree. I just, at this time, I think I don't see us spending $100,000 on a wage study right now. You know, and the last time we did a wage study, it ended up costing us more like $5 million.
And I would fully anticipate that if we did a wage study, it would say that we have a large percentage of some departments that are not at market.
Yeah.
Just because the markets have changed dramatically post-COVID.
And I think, you know, a lot of that you can tell from the vacancies reports, which ones they are. So, I mean, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we remove the $100,000 for the wage study. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so got a motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. Those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 2-1. We go to the treasurer, which actually had a reduction if you don't count the 27th pay period.
Yes, that is a flat one, yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Duffy, County Treasurer. Very quickly, just so you know, on our clerks, we bring up the bottom of pay for the practically all 105 counties. I was really shocked and surprised. So we're the basement for them. I do want to clear up a misconception that came to my attention this last week. For example, Friday, we processed over 500 transactions, motor vehicle transactions between the two offices. There were long lines, long waits. People had filled up all the reservations. These people could not do the work online, or they just needed to come in for whatever. But I heard from a couple of folks that said I needed to get more help because every time they come in, they have to wait. And it's not busy all the time, but when we opened up our doors today at the courthouse, we had about 10 folks waiting. I made it clear that the funding for our motor vehicle side is not through the county mill levy. We receive funds from the state as we are an agent of the state in processing title, renewals, and applications, and our funding comes from them. For the last 7 years, we've asked for an increase through the legislature as some of the money that we get from the state hasn't increased since the 80s or the 90s. The last thing that was added was a facility fee that we charge for the privilege of coming in. It's $5. We're very clear, and we say that so folks know we're not trying to hide it. We are charging that, and we've done it for years, but that is to make up the hole from the state. The Senate will not let this issue come for a vote. It does pass the House about every time, but it never comes up for a vote in the Senate. So when we're fully staffed, we have 16 folks. Just so you know, over in Johnson County, they have 38, and Sedgwick County, they run about 40. So we are busy. Our clerks are quick, but we're serving people, not potatoes. And so we're very careful about respecting them and the pace at which they can make a transaction. We are funded by the mill levy for our treasury. And already we're seeing an uptick of people coming in as they're making partial payments. A lot of folks realize they can't come up with all the money in December or May, so they're coming in now. We see repeat people, a lot of questions. We deal with a lot of folks on the phone, a lot of companies. And as we're going to work to automate, see if we can push out things so they can do the research themselves. But a lot of our work is research and response, sending receipts. Also, we work with audit finance and paying the bills for the county and processing transactions of all the departments. So I did want to share that the mill levy money is not going to motor vehicle, and we are, whatever we don't spend goes to the county coffers at the end of the year. And we didn't give much last year, and we'll probably give less because we are working a lot of overtime to keep our backlogs. I've instituted a 5-business-day backlog. We had about a month and a half backlog on things walking in our door, and that should not be. That caused people to call us, come back in, want to know where their stickers are. So that is what we're doing to ensure that people who are sending it in the mail or online and we have to finish the processing are receiving that quality service. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if we can address information technology.
Oh, yeah, we skipped over one, didn't we? Okay. And yours was primarily the Microsoft issue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Mark Price, Information Technology. A large portion of it was Microsoft. As you'd asked and we discussed at the last meeting, I reached out to all the department heads, and they were very prompt in getting me a response of their department's usage. But through it, we did find about 30 licenses I think we could get cut, which would add an additional about $5,500 of savings. Not a huge amount, but of things like mechanics, I believe, and some other positions that weren't using it day to day, we could do a little bit of a cut there.
Okay. Any questions for Mark?
No. So an additional 5,500?
Yes.
All right, so we don't have to be done today, but we're running out of time.
Correct. Are you all right with me scrolling back to the top?
Yeah.
Kurt, were you all right with me changing yours to a 5%? Is that what you wanted me to do?
Did we have any further changes we want to do today, or we want to sleep on it and talk about it next time?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to call on Mr. Kage, and I know that you've sat here, and thank you for being here for the entire meeting, but as you've heard, we've had to make cuts across the board with really every area. I'm going to just ask you to please go back and look at your budget to see if there's anything that can be cut, because I don't know where else, we're running out of areas to look at.
And thank you, Commissioner. The $54,000 I talked about earlier, the computer hardware, we can go ahead and didn't cut that from the budget. I'm happy to say that. Again, if a computer dies, we do need computers, so we'll count on IT or the good grace of the commission to back us up when that happens. That was $54,000.
Any further questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
408. Doesn't sound right.
That leaves us with 310,650 that we will need to still find. And again, Jennifer, our deadline for
Weren't we at 408, and then we took away another 54,000?
we're at 310,650.
310 right now. 310,650.
That doesn't seem like that, it should be higher than that.
Well, the 54, well, I don't know.
Because we were at 408, 117, you take 54,000 from that, it's, I'm coming up with $354,117.
What was that?
Could you subtract that number again, that 54,000 from that 408 was the number we had before, wasn't it?
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. I must have forgot.
Good eye.
There.
No. I think I went the
No.
opposite direction.
Yeah, we went the wrong way. I think it should have gone,
Oh, Lordy be, wrong one. Sorry, I'm with you. Sorry, Tim, just thought maybe you should take an additional cut. Oh, okay, I see. So we changed this number here to be minus an additional 43,468? That's what you're saying? I'm sorry, I got caught up. So that's why it dropped by more?
He said he's gonna do the 5%.
Yes.
That's what it was. It was Kurt.
okay,
Correct, yeah.
all right.
Sorry. I thought I
Thank you,
entered
Kurt.
it wrong. So, yeah.
So I would say let's go back down to the health department. And there was an additional 62,300. I think let's do that with the anticipation that if those grants don't come through, we end up taking it from contingency in order to continue on. Are you guys okay with that?
Is this a commission cut? So you wanted me to do?
Yeah, it would be a
that?
commission cut, so I'll make a motion that we do an additional 62,300 from the health department.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Cook. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Okay, and again, if those grants don't come through, then we'll look at contingency funding for that. Or at least I will. You guys perhaps don't agree, I don't know.
So is this where you would like it for it to leave for today with departments continuing to take another look? I think departments all came with, I think the departments all looked at what a 5% reduction would do. So if you have additional questions, I think if you reach out to them, they would be able to answer that for you.
Jennifer, Commissioners, we have a position that is currently vacant in the county clerk's office. That specific position is a leadership position in our accounts payable and does need to be filled. If we filled it internally, I would not feel the need to backfill the position that was vacated. And so that would create about a 5%, just a little bit over in the county clerk's office.
Are you confident of that?
Yep.
Being able to happen?
Yes.
Okay, and so that's the 55,000 approximately?
You're looking at the 55,833, is that what you're looking at? You
That
tell-
position?
Yes, well, I don't know, that's what your 5% would be.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so-
yes.
So,
From what I figured, it would be about 5.7
So
with
we're
the salary plus the benefits, so.
okay. All right, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
92, 17.
All right.
Is that all for
I
your?
think we might call it a day at this point. We're getting close.
We still have to cut $192,517.
Yes, we have to cut a minimum of 192,517 to get us to a 1 mil increase over our existing mill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Is your desire to have a budget discussion again on Thursday or next Monday?
what is,
Thursday is a work session, Monday is a meeting.
yeah, I think we'll have to do it probably both.
Okay.
I mean, we can't take action in a work session.
Correct.
We can still discuss though. So,
And my assumption was you're going to hold off CIP discussions until you get to a landing spot on the budget.
well, maybe we put CIP on the agenda at the same time Thursday.
Okay.
And again, we can talk about it, because I mean, that's where we are right now, is we just need to talk and figure some
Exactly.
stuff out, so.
Okay.
We just won't take any action. So, any other questions? All right, next item, please.
Thank you.
Next item was public comment. I didn't see anyone additionally signed up.
I didn't have anyone signed up, so, next item.
And next item, administrative communications.
Any administrative communications?
Jennifer Sauer, Financial Administrator. I'm going to do a real quick one, real quick. Sorry, while I'm up here, I just wanted to do a reminder that the R&R hearing and the budget hearing for Shawnee County will be on September the 8th at 9 a.m. in this chamber. Thank you.
Ryan Hill, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. I'll try to make this quick. Just want to give an update in dispatch of numbers and what's been going on here for the last couple of years. We've looked at our training department. We've been able to double the capacity of which we're training dispatchers. It's still not a huge number, but it is up from what we started with, and we reallocated a training room within the LEC that we turned into a dispatch training room in-house to try to help with that. Since August of 2024 to date, we've processed over 200 applications for people wanting initially to be dispatchers. However, out of that 200, we've been able to hire 21. Now, this dropout is because honestly, you got to go through a background just like you would law enforcement, the state and the federal for CACIGIS and NCIC. That with the personal history statements, over 90% of our applicants fall out. We've hired 21 dispatchers. We have 7 left in the process, because once you get into this process, it's still significant to get through it. 2 of those are expected to hit the floor. We still have 5 in the training. We continue to hire. I just signed another couple of conditional offers, so we continue to get people in the door and trying to push forward as much as we can. I think we have something like 30 CWA positions. We have 11 openings, not counting the 7 that's in training right now. So that's just the update for dispatch. So I wanted you gentlemen to know where we're at with that.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lee Welch, Court Administrator, 3rd Judicial District in Shawnee County District Court. Just a brief note that the Shawnee County District Court Self-Help Center will be opening on Monday, August 11th. Specific hours are yet to be determined. It'll be driven by public need, but we will make sure that that office or help space is available over the noon hour, at least from 11 to 1 o'clock, so that those people needing help can get help when they have their lunch breaks. We'll be having a more formal grand opening, if you will, at a later time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Tim Lorette, Parks and Recreation Department. Last week, Commissioner Mays, you asked me for an update on our Nashville night in Noto, and I thought I did a fine job, but I heard from others that maybe I didn't bring enough information, but it was on the 26th of July, and we did have pretty good turnout. We had between 800 and 900 people there, and a good time was had by all.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Teresa Fisher, Director of the Health Department. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that tonight, the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition is hosting an event at the J.P. Lewis Health Department location to celebrate World Breastfeeding Week and Kansas Breastfeeding Month. It's this evening from 6:30 to 8, so we will have a welcome reception. We're going to have a presentation on local breastfeeding resources. We've got a photographer, professional photographer, that is donating time to take pictures of our pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. And then there'll be a discussion on the importance of sustaining breastfeeding efforts and what's a reception without food, raffle drawings, and some activities. So we invite all of you and the public to come to this event tonight.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Rippon?
I have nothing to add.
Commissioner Cook?
No, nothing.
Okay. As we discussed, we'll be back Thursday talking about budget some more, but no action will be taken then. I want to thank everybody for being here. This is a long meeting. It's a difficult meeting, one that we're going to have again next year. And so as much as we all dread budget time, it is, it's not fun, but definitely appreciate everyone's participation in the process. That's all I have. Next item, please.
Executive session?
We do not have a need for executive session today, so we're adjourned.